When I think back to the events of last summer, I still find myself shaking my head in disbelief. I never thought something so ordinary could turn into one of the most unforgettable experiences of my life. It all started with a simple request from my nephew, Ethan, a boy full of energy, curiosity, and a knack for surprising everyone around him. Ethan is my older sister's son, and ever since he was a toddler, I've had a special bond with him. I don't have children of my own yet, so I often treat Ethan as if he were my own. I spoil him with extra attention, share stories, and sometimes even take him on little adventures. My sister, Amanda, often jokes that Ethan behaves better for me than he does for her. Whether that's true or not, I can't say, but I do know he trusts me in ways that sometimes surprise me. That summer, Amanda asked me to watch Ethan for a few weeks while she traveled for work. It wasn't unusual for her job to take her away, and I was more than happy to step in. I rearranged my schedule, stocked up the fridge with foods I knew Ethan liked, and prepared myself for a busy but fun couple of weeks. The first few days went smoothly. We spent time biking around the neighborhood, playing board games, and watching movies. But it wasn't until one Saturday morning that things took a very unexpected turn. I was in the kitchen making pancakes when Ethan came rushing in, his eyes shining with excitement. He held something in his hands that he had clearly been hiding behind his back. "Aunt Claire," he shouted, his voice filled with urgency. "I need you to do something with me. Please, please say yes before I tell you what it is." I laughed, flipping a pancake in the pan. "That's a bold request. How am I supposed to agree to something without even knowing what it is?" "Because it's going to be amazing," he insisted, practically bouncing on his toes. I turned off the stove, folded my arms, and gave him a mock-serious look. "All right, kiddo, what is it that you want me to do with you?" Ethan slowly pulled his hands from behind his back, revealing a folded piece of paper. It was wrinkled and covered in scribbles. When I took it from him and unfolded it, I realized it was a hand-drawn treasure map. "You want me to go on a treasure hunt with you?" I asked, raising an eyebrow. His face lit up. "Yes, but not just any treasure hunt. I made the map myself, and the treasure is hidden somewhere outside. I worked on it for days. I even wrote clues." I stared at the map again. The landmarks were clearly drawn from our neighborhood. The old oak tree in the park, the corner store, the playground. Ethan had carefully traced routes and drawn X marks at several spots. It was impressive for a 10-year-old. I couldn't help but smile. "All right, pirate captain, I'll join your treasure hunt. But pancakes first," Ethan groaned, though his grin didn't fade. He wolfed down his pancakes faster than I'd ever seen and practically dragged me out the door before I had even finished my coffee. The first clue led us to the park near my house. The morning air was fresh, and the grass still glittered with dew. Ethan read the clue out loud in his most dramatic voice. "Under the tree that touches the sky, find the rock that hides the spy." I laughed so hard I nearly spilled the coffee I'd carried along. "What does that even mean?" "You'll see," Ethan said confidently. Sure enough, when we reached the tallest oak tree in the park, Ethan ran to a large rock at its base. He bent down and lifted it with surprising determination. Beneath it was a small box. He pulled it out and opened it to reveal the next clue written on a piece of paper. As we followed the map through the day, Ethan's imagination amazed me. Each clue led to another landmark: under the playground slide, beside the fence near the corner store, behind the bench where we sometimes sat to eat ice cream. Each spot held a small container with the next clue inside. By the time we reached the final X on the map, I was thoroughly invested. We ended up in a small wooded area just beyond the park. Ethan pointed to a pile of branches. Together, we cleared them away until we found a shoebox buried underneath. "Open it, Aunt Claire," he urged, his voice trembling with excitement. I lifted the lid and gasped. Inside wasn't candy or toys like I'd expected, but a collection of items that clearly meant the world to Ethan. There was a baseball card his grandfather had given him, a friendship bracelet he'd made, a small toy car, and a handwritten note. I picked up the note and read it aloud. "Dear Aunt Claire, the real treasure isn't gold or jewels. It's spending time with you. Thank you for always being there for me." My throat tightened, and I blinked back tears. I looked at Ethan, who was grinning ear to ear but also fidgeting nervously, as if unsure how I would react. I pulled him into a hug. "Ethan, this is the best treasure hunt I've ever been on." He hugged me back tightly. "I just wanted to show you how much you mean to me." For a long moment, we sat there on the grass in the quiet woods, holding on to each other. It was one of those rare, perfect moments that I knew I'd never forget. But little did I know, the day wasn't over. That afternoon, Ethan insisted we make a video journal of our treasure hunt. He set up my phone on a tripod and began narrating the story like a true adventurer. Watching him speak with such confidence and creativity left me in awe. He wasn't just a kid playing games, he was building stories, creating memories, and pouring his heart into every detail. By evening, when Amanda called to check in, Ethan couldn't stop talking about everything we'd done. He proudly showed her the treasure box over video chat and made her promise to go on the next treasure hunt with us. Amanda looked at me and mouthed a silent, "Thank you," clearly touched. That night, after Ethan had fallen asleep, I sat on the couch with the treasure box in my lap. His note still rested inside, and I reread it more than once. I realized something important that day. Sometimes, children remind us of the values we adults often forget. It wasn't about money, success, or material things. It was about love, connection, and the simple joy of being together. Over the next few weeks, Ethan and I created more adventures. We built a blanket fort in the living room, baked cookies with far too many sprinkles, and even tried to build a treehouse in the backyard before realizing we had no clue what we were doing. Each day brought new laughter, challenges, and bonding. When Amanda finally returned, Ethan told her that his summer with me had been the best ever. He showed her the video journal and insisted that we all watch it together. As the clips played on the TV, Amanda grew teary-eyed, and I couldn't help but feel proud, not just of Ethan, but of the bond we shared. That summer taught me something I'll never forget. Sometimes the simplest requests, like a child asking you to go on a treasure hunt, can lead to the greatest treasures of all. And that's why, whenever Ethan looks up at me with those wide, hopeful eyes and says, "Aunt Claire, will you do this with me?" I already know my answer will always be yes.